Welcome to Soul Therapy with Chelle. I am Chelle Griffin and I practice as a soul doula. I combine therapeutic knowledge and lived experience with a healthy dose of spiritual exploration. Feel welcome to join me as we learn and grow together, exploring the magic and wonderment of experiencing life on earth as a spiritual being. Welcome back for part 2 of my conversation with Ashleigh Conwell, a beautiful mother of 3, widow, and here to dive deeper still in what her experience is like grieving her husband and raising her beautiful 3 little beings. I hope you enjoy this episode, and remember, we do discuss death and dying and the grieving journey. So if you find yourself noticing emotions coming up and feeling activated in some way, feel welcome to reach out to me for support or to your professional support that may already exist. Go gently.
I didn't understand grief until I was grieving.
Oh.
I had no awareness of how deep it was. I had a conversation with a friend of mine who is grieving the loss of a child as well, and we had this conversation around there can be a lot of frustration around people that haven't experienced grief. And of course, we were saying we're so happy for them that they don't get it. And it can be hurtful that they don't get it because we are navigating this every single day. And it doesn't matter if, in my case, it's been nearly 5 years and in your case, 21. Like, it does not matter the duration.
No.
Because you don't heal, you don't get fixed. But it's, when we start looking at people who've lost, and every loss is different, whether it be a child, a husband, a grandparent, it's all relative and everyone grieves differently as well. So it's such a complicated event in our lives. And to sort of navigate it now, particularly with kids, and to take kids through the grief journey when as a parent you're grieving and you're trying to just figure that out yourself and then support their grief and allow them to grieve in their own way as well. And that acknowledging, and I think the most important thing is to acknowledge that everyone's grief is valid.
Yeah.
No one is better or worse off.
Yeah.
And that can be hard.
And there's not really that many people that have been untouched by grief. It's just different perspectives on how we permit ourselves to grieve. Some, we've grown up in a society that, especially in Australia, sort of dust yourself off and get on with it, and you don't moan about it, you don't carry on, you just be stoic, brave, and push forward. And obviously that is not a healthy way to deal with grief, but it is something that, like, death is not really talked about or honoured in the same way in the Australian culture as it is in other cultures. There's like these beautiful elongated mourning periods and viewings and sit-ins and awake, a celebration of life. There's so many different ways to honour loss and to prepare for death if you have that blessed opportunity to be able to say goodbye. There's no rule book. Same as the stages of grief, they are not steps of grief. They're definitely not linear. We can be in flow in multiple stages of grief all at the same time, moments apart, and going back and forth through that process. It's such a personal experience, and I really love that you're putting yourself out there and sharing your experience and your perspective on what has changed for you, how you've grown into the person you are today. I love that these beautiful beings came into our lives so that we could have our hearts broken, ripped open, but learn how to truly live. What a privilege that is, and an honour that is, that they put their hand up to willingly come here and be that for us, not negating the pain that
that comes with it for them as well. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And I think, we have been I mean, this is the chapter of the book that you never intend on reading.
Yeah.
And it is also a reminder, and what I've done a lot of my work in is reminding myself that I still get to write the next chapter, just because this has happened to me. The reality is, like, the easy thing to do would be to sit at home, cry all day, not leave the house and not move on from grief and really sit in that. But that is not a nice place to be. And there is so much joy still out there. And I think that staying at home and doing that means I miss out too. And Matt misses out because that's not what he would want the family to be doing. So there is this opportunity and it's not without pain, of course, but there is still a lot of joy, and we owe that to ourselves and to the kids. And so that's what it's really about for me is finding that joy again.
And Ashleigh, when you talk about finding that joy again, what have been some of the experiences have you had some practices you've put in place to find that joy and instill that joy?
Definitely. I really had to do a focus on self-care. I know that's often a buzzword that's thrown around, but I found it really important to me, like I said, with, having also the newborns and 3 of them. Is I wasn't getting that. I wasn't getting rest. I wasn't getting, any nourishment, and I wasn't exercising. Like everything in my life had changed. And so I really needed to focus on self-care. Part of that self-care was just time. It was taking time out for me. And it was just, going to a beach, because that's my happy place by the water, and just sitting there. And just allowing myself to either cry or do some, writing in my journal, but just to have that clear space. So when it's self-care, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to go and book a fancy massage, although that's always beautiful. It's not about these big grand gestures. Like, I had to start really small. And so it was starting at like 10 minutes at a time. Like, what do I need in 10 minutes? And, just these little moments. And so that's where I really started. And then it was also being flexible to know that as I move through my journey, that changes. So I was very proactive in asking for professional help. So the week after Matt's accident, I sort of put my hand up and said, I need a psychologist, and I need it now. Like, I need an immediate, and sort of reached out and was able to get that support. But that's not for everyone. And everyone has their own timelines on when they're ready. But I just knew, for me, I need it. I'm preparing for babies as well. There's a lot going on. So I'm really proud of myself that I had that awareness to do that, and to then be able to sort of reach out and get that help. But I think that I've also learned that there is no one size fits all. And there is nothing that is just your self-care package and that's what you do forever. Like, life changes. So for now, for example, I'm able to, I'm getting back into the gym. I am doing Pilates classes. I'm a lot more active, but then I'm also allowing myself rest days as well, and saying, I'm going to book a massage today, or instead of working this afternoon, the kids are at kindy, I'm going to have a sleep. And I feel so guilty doing that still. But I also know it's really important, and the benefit is far stronger than me just powering through emails. So I think it's about really being true and reflecting and turning inward. I've done that through a lot of work around reassessing my values and what truly matters to me. And so that's sort of what ultimately has led me to the business in creating those resources as well. But I think that's the most important thing, is to remember that what you need now is what is going to change, and be able to move through that change as well.
It really comes back to being present, doesn't it? And flexible, knowing that actually my needs are going to evolve. This might support me right now, and there may be a timeline for that, and something else may be more pressing for me.
And I think the other thing is knowing when to ask for help, whether that be formal or informal, reaching out to someone like yourself, like knowing what that point is, but before you get to the point where it's, you're in sort of a worse state. So, and support groups as well, right? Whether that's, close family or friends, even just one person to just have that connection point is so critical.
Can we talk about support? Obviously, pregnant with triplets can require quite a bit of bed rest and intervention, which really impacts the stress levels of the new mum. So what kind of support did you have to draw on, and what were the little things that you remember as being a much bigger source of support than what you expected?
I think with me, like I said, it was this duality of the grief support and the preparing for triplets. So I did have a good psychologist who actually my obstetrician got me onto, because I was seeing a grief psychologist. And to be honest, they just weren't hitting the mark. I think that it's important to know if you're not getting something out of that relationship. So I'm sure that that psychologist would have been great had it just been a redundancy or something maybe work related. I think they would have been great, but I needed that next level up. And I was like, oh, this is just not working. So I then sort of mentioned this to my obstetrician, and she said, look, I know that you're working with that person with regards to grief. However, you're about to welcome 3 preemie babies. I need you to start preparing for that. And of course, my head's spinning. I'm like, I can't take on anymore. But that psychologist has ended up being my long-term psychologist now because of that connection. And I think it's knowing, what you need from each of those supports. I did have extreme support from the hospital, and all of the scans were done at the hospital for the babies. And that was, every 2 weeks, and then weekly appointments. So there was a lot of monitoring. I think that is good and bad, because obviously it's essential. And then I definitely became, kind of a product of that institution, really, because everything was, even when the babies are born in NICU, everything is measured, everything is calculated, everything is on a spreadsheet. I love a good spreadsheet. My background, and still now I do a lot of project management. So I love a spreadsheet, but it became really, I felt paralyzed by the spreadsheet too. So I think it's about finding support and moving through support as you evolve as well, and not getting probably, becoming like a product of the support. And there are a lot of modalities out there now. We're very fortunate in this day and age to have access to so many things, but also there can be a lot of noise and a lot of confusion as to around what's right for you. Everyone's got opinions. Some people think, some stuff is a bit too woo-woo, and, but I think it's about you as the individual and what resonates with you and what is helpful for you. So I've been, trying lots of different things and finding this works for me now. Great. I'm really interested in trying that maybe later, maybe out of curiosity, and maybe, there's some people that say tapping is another form of sort of healing that people do. And I've got a friend, and in her grief, that works perfectly. I gave it a go. I'm like, not for me. And that's okay.
I love that you're so in touch with your intuition, that you're practicing discernment, maybe without even realizing it, and just going, actually, I don't have the rapport with this psychologist that I know I need, so I'm going to try somewhere else. And that, a good therapist will respect that and not take that personally. Like it's our job to not be needed.
I think for me it was...
go on.
I was going to say that the first psychologist I had, she was in session crying with me. And I was like, and she would just say, it's really sad. And she couldn't get out of it. And I'm like, it is really sad, and this is my life. And I felt that at that point, that wasn't the right level. I don't need someone feeling sad with me, because I'm sad enough. I needed someone to elevate. So I think there is a level of emotional security as well, to say, how does someone lift you up? And don't get me wrong, of course, it's a heavy story, and supporting, a 29-year-old, who's 17 weeks pregnant and has just lost her husband. Like, there's a lot. I get that. But I was like, oh, this is not the right person for me. I think that's where we need to sort of have that level of awareness. And that's hard. I felt guilty, and I thought, gosh, and I said that after one session. Like, this is not the person. And I remember Mum saying to me, she said, oh, Ash, it's only been one session. Maybe you should give her another go. And I reluctantly agreed, but I just knew. So I think there's this level of, I'm glad I did go back. And obviously I don't like to just sort of call it after one, but that was really important to me to go, of course, I'm going to give it another go. Actually, no, it's still not for me. So it's not about giving up either. It's about trying. But I also think for me personally, I've heard some people that say, oh, I've got a really great therapist because she doesn't make me talk about things I don't want to talk about. And in my head, I'm like, that sounds like a terrible therapist. For me, I want a therapist to get in and really uncover and go to the root cause. So like everyone reacts differently as well as to what they need that support to be. So I think it's so individual what that support looks like.
Absolutely. And some people like to go to therapy just to say they go to therapy, and that it looks like they're working on themselves. And others, they need that rapport. They need someone to call them out. And really support them to evolve and deepen their awareness of themselves. And yeah, like I said, as a therapist, it's my job to no longer be needed. I have clients that I've been working with for many years. They reach a point where they're great and they come back for a maintenance session, or something else happens in their life and they come back and go, actually, I need a refresh. And we dip in again, we work on that, and off they go again. I love that. I love that I get that connection with them and can dip into their life with them here and there. But ultimately, the celebration is that I don't get that call, that they, like, I will hear from them of like, things are great, or I figured this out on my own. I'm like, yes, that's what we've been working for. So having that intuition and reach that point of going, actually, this is what I need, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. Because I know as women, like, guilt is this cloak we carry around with us. We have the mother guilt, the daughter guilt, the wife guilt, friend guilt. We're constantly reassessing what others' perception of us would be. Whether we take it on or not can be in different layers. But coming back to that intuition going, actually, no, that's level of support is not what I need. I need to try in this direction, or no, I'm not going to give that another go. I know deep down that that's run its course. I really, really love that for women all over, and men too, obviously, but particularly for women and mothers. There's enough pressure on us trying to get everything right and perfect, the perfect rituals, the perfect way to celebrate, the perfect way to raise our kids, the perfect way to birth our babies or feed our babies, nourish them, raise them. Like, no, we're individual beings. We all have different needs. They have different needs.
I agree. I think that real transformation, and that's where I feel so much joy, and I feel the joy for you as well, is that when we're supporting women in our work now, is it's a sense of empowerment, and it's about coaching women through this transformation for them. And my tagline is, to step into your power. And that's what it's about. It's finding yourself again, embracing that resilience, owning your story, stepping into your power. And that's the transformation. But I think, acknowledging that we don't get fixed and solved, but it is that journey. And we are now on this journey of continual transformation and evolution. And that it is, I think the beauty is that we're not just helping women in this moment. It is the ripple effect that has on their family, in the workplace, and on our community is truly beautiful. And to play even a very small role in that just feels so rewarding.
Yeah, it ends up being a much bigger role than what we can even comprehend when, it ripples out to touch everyone around us. And they're the same for everyone around them. This has been just such a beautiful chat, Ashleigh. Thank you so much for coming on. Now, how can we best find you?
Thank you. It's so nice to spend the morning. We could be chatting all day as well, and I love these conversations. They're so wholesome. The best way to find me is on Instagram. So my Instagram is ashleigh.conwell, and then the business page is also yellow.falcon. So best to find me on Instagram. Please reach out. Please send me a DM. I'd love to connect.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your valuable time out of what's no doubt a very busy day with your little cherubs, and I hope to connect again soon.
Thanks, Chelle.
Thank you for showing up for yourself by listening to Soul Therapy with Chelle. Feel welcome to subscribe to my podcast, share the pod with your friends, family, colleagues and neighbours, and please, if you are willing, I would absolutely love a 5-star review to give my little pod a boost in the algorithms. For further detail on how to work with me, please visit my website www.chellegriffin.com or find me on the socials. I hope you'll join me on my next episode. Till then, go gently and intentionally. With care, Chelle.